Hello everyone. Welcome back. This is Mr. Mysterious. Today, we're delving into the unsettling realm of true neighbor horror stories that will send shivers down your spine. Brace yourselves as we uncover the chilling tales of neighbors who lurk in the shadows, hiding secrets that will leave you questioning the safety of your own community. But before we plunge into the abyss, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss out on the darkest secrets and spine-chilling tales that I bring to light. Let's dive in. In a quiet suburban neighborhood, the ominous story surrounding the house at number 13 became a whispered legend among its residents. Sophie and Mark, a young couple eager to start a family, had recently moved into the charming house, unaware of the darkness that had plagued its previous occupants. From the moment they settled in, strange occurrences began. Odd noises echoed through the walls, and shadows seemed to dance in the corners of their vision. At first, Sophie dismissed it as the quirks of an old house, but Mark couldn't shake the feeling that something more sinister lingered within the walls of number 13. One stormy night, the couple discovered a hidden cellar door in the basement. The rusty handle resisted their attempts to open it, but Mark's determination prevailed. As they descended the creaky stairs, a foul stench filled the air, and the flickering light barely illuminated the damp, dimly lit space. To their horror, they found a room adorned with occult symbols and tattered remnants of ritualistic garb. Dusty old books, their pages filled with cryptic writings, lined the shelves. Sophie gasped as she stumbled upon a collection of faded photographs, previous occupants of number 13, engaged in dark ceremonies that dated back decades. Disturbed by their discovery, Sophie and Mark contacted the former owners of the house, hoping for answers. The elderly couple, hesitant and visibly shaken, reluctantly revealed a sordid tale of a secret society that had used the house for unspeakable rituals. As the couple delved deeper, they uncovered a sinister truth. The house at number 13 held a malevolent force that preyed on the unsuspecting families that dared to call it home. The previous residents, unable to escape its clutches, met tragic ends, succumbing to madness or disappearing without a trace. Determined to break the curse, Sophie and Mark sought the help of a local historian well-versed in the town's dark history. Together, they learned of a series of unexplained deaths, all linked to the house. The historian revealed that the cursed property was built upon an ancient burial ground, and the malevolent spirits trapped within sought to claim the souls of the living. As the couple faced increasingly disturbing manifestations, eerie whispers, phantom footsteps, and chilling apparitions, they realized the gravity of their predicament. The historian advised a risky yet necessary ritual to cleanse the house and banish the malevolent entities. On a moonlit night, surrounded by flickering candles and guided by ancient incantations, Sophie and Mark initiated the ritual. The air grew thick with tension as they chanted the words passed down through generations, calling upon the forces that could expel the malevolence. As the ritual reached its climax, the house seemed to rebel against their efforts. The walls shook, and ghostly wails echoed through the rooms. Mark and Sophie pressed on, their determination unwavering. Suddenly, a blinding light engulfed the cellar, and an otherworldly force seemed to lift from the house, dissipating into the night. Exhausted but victorious, the couple emerged from the cellar, finding an eerie calm settling over number 13. The whispers ceased, and the shadows retreated. The curse that had plagued the house for decades was broken, and Sophie and Mark, forever changed by their harrowing experience, could finally breathe a sigh of relief. The house at number 13 stood silent, its dark secrets buried in the past. The once terrifying legend became a cautionary tale among the neighbors, a reminder that not all homes harbor the warmth and security they appear to offer. Nestled in the quiet suburbs, the Hendersons, a middle-aged couple, found what seemed like the perfect home, a charming cottage with a white picket fence surrounded by blooming flowers. Little did they know that the sinister secrets of their new neighborhood would unfold right beneath their noses. The unsettling events began with the arrival of a mysterious neighbor at number 23. The house had been vacant for years, and rumors circulated about its previous owners meeting tragic ends. The new resident, Mr. Blackwood, was an enigmatic figure with a penchant for privacy. Tall hedges shielded his property from prying eyes, and he rarely ventured outside during daylight hours. As weeks passed, the Hendersons couldn't help but notice peculiar occurrences. Late at night, they heard strange noises emanating from number 23, faint whispers, eerie laughter, and the occasional sound of dragging furniture. Mrs. Henderson dismissed it as the quirks of an old house, but Mr. Henderson couldn't shake the feeling that something more sinister was afoot. Driven by curiosity and concern, Mr. Henderson decided to strike up a conversation with Mr. Blackwood. However, his attempts were met with stony silence. Mr. Blackwood, it seemed, had no interest in engaging with his neighbors. One stormy night, the Hendersons were jolted awake by a series of blood-curdling screams. Terrified, they rushed to their window, peering through the rain-soaked glass to identify the source. To their horror, they saw flickering lights and shadows dancing in the windows of number 23. Unable to ignore the distressing situation any longer, Mr. Henderson called the police. The officers arrived promptly, but after a brief investigation, they declared everything was in order. They attributed the disturbance to the storm and suggested that the Hendersons might be letting their imaginations run wild. Dissatisfied with the response, Mr. Henderson decided to take matters into his own hands. The next day, he approached other neighbors, hoping to find someone who shared his concerns. To his surprise, many had similar stories but were reluctant to speak openly about the eerie occurrences surrounding number 23. Undeterred, Mr. Henderson delved into the history of the house, unearthing a dark past that sent shivers down his spine. Previous residents had vanished without a trace, leaving behind a legacy of mystery and fear. Determined to unravel the truth, Mr. Henderson reached out to a local historian known for delving into the town's secrets. Together, they discovered a forgotten cemetery hidden in the woods behind the neighborhood. The graves dated back centuries, and among them was a headstone bearing the name Blackwood. The historian explained that the Blackwood family had been associated with occult practices, rumored to have summoned dark forces to protect their ancestral home. As Mr. Henderson delved deeper, he found old newspaper clippings detailing the unexplained disappearances linked to the Blackwood property. The disturbing accounts painted a picture of a cursed bloodline that transcended generations. Armed with this newfound knowledge, Mr. Henderson confronted the police, urging them to investigate the history of number 23. Reluctantly, they agreed to reopen the case. As the investigation progressed, the Hendersons and their neighbors became unwittingly entangled in a supernatural web that seemed to tighten with every revelation. One evening, as the Hendersons sat in their living room, a chilling draft swept through the house. The lights flickered, and shadows coalesced into a spectral figure, the ghostly visage of a woman with hollow eyes. She pointed towards number 23, her silent scream echoing through the air. Terrified, the Hendersons realized that the spirits of the past were trying to communicate a long-buried truth. The police, now more intrigued than skeptical, unearthed a hidden cellar beneath number 23. Within its damp confines, they discovered a room adorned with occult symbols, ancient relics, and a collection of dusty journals chronicling the Blackwood family's dark rituals. The investigators were met with an overwhelming presence, an unseen force that seemed to resist their intrusion. As they continued their search, they stumbled upon a hidden door leading to an underground chamber. There, they found a ghastly sight, a series of cells containing the restless spirits of the Blackwood family's victims, trapped in a state of eternal torment. The investigation culminated in a confrontation between the living and the dead. The spirits, long denied justice, sought retribution for the atrocities committed against them. Through a series of eerie manifestations, they guided the investigators towards a long-forgotten pact that bound the Blackwood family to the darkness. In the end, the investigators, guided by the restless spirits, performed a ritual to break the curse that shackled the neighborhood. The malevolent force that had lingered for centuries was expelled, and the spirits found peace at last. The Blackwood house, stripped of its supernatural influence, stood as a silent witness to the horrors that had transpired within its walls. The Hendersons, forever changed by their harrowing ordeal, moved away from the neighborhood, leaving behind the shadows that had haunted their once tranquil lives. The tale of number 23 became a cautionary legend, a reminder that sometimes, the most disturbing horrors are not only hidden behind closed doors but also within the echoes of the past. Nestled in the heart of a serene suburban neighborhood, the Harringtons' quaint home seemed like the perfect sanctuary for newlyweds Amanda and James. Little did they know that their dreams of domestic bliss would soon be shattered by the unsettling secrets hidden within the walls of their seemingly idyllic community. As Amanda and James settled into their new life, they couldn't help but notice peculiar occurrences. Late at night, muffled sounds seeped through the walls, like hushed conversations and indistinct whispers. Initially dismissing them as products of an overactive imagination, the couple soon realized that the unsettling noises were more than mere figments of their imagination. One evening, as Amanda strolled through her backyard, she caught sight of a shadowy figure moving furtively behind the tall fence separating their property from the neighboring house. Intrigued and slightly unnerved, she decided to investigate further. The next day, Amanda struck up a conversation with Mrs. Turner, the elderly widow living next door, hoping to glean some insight into the mysterious happenings. Mrs. Turner, however, dismissed Amanda's concerns with a forced smile, claiming that the neighborhood was known for its peculiar noises, nothing more than the typical sounds of an aging community. Unconvinced, Amanda's curiosity deepened, and she began to observe her surroundings more closely. One stormy night, the power went out, casting the neighborhood into darkness. Amanda, armed with only a flashlight, noticed an odd glow emanating from the basement window of the Turner residence. Against her better judgment, she decided to investigate. Descending the narrow stairs into the Harringtons' dimly lit basement, Amanda's flashlight illuminated a crude tunnel leading towards the Turner house. The clandestine passage was well hidden, concealed behind a shelf laden with old boxes. Heart-pounding, Amanda crawled through the tunnel, emerging in the musty darkness of Mrs. Turner's basement. To her horror, Amanda found herself amidst a dimly lit room adorned with peculiar symbols, flickering candles, and a collection of aged books filled with arcane writings. Mrs. Turner stood at the center, clad in a tattered robe, surrounded by several neighbors, all engaged in an otherworldly ritual. Unable to contain her gasp, Amanda inadvertently drew attention to herself. The neighbors' heads turned in unison, their eyes glazed over with an unnatural fervor. Mrs. Turner's voice rose in a chant, echoing through the chamber. Realizing the severity of the situation, Amanda scrambled to escape the basement, fear coursing through her veins. Back in the safety of her home, Amanda struggled to make sense of the surreal scene she had witnessed. Determined to expose the dark secrets lurking in the heart of the neighborhood, she discreetly gathered evidence of the occult practices taking place next door. She documented cryptic symbols, recorded audio snippets of eerie chants, and discreetly snapped photos of the ritualistic gatherings. Driven by a mix of fear and determination, Amanda contacted a private investigator with a reputation for handling the unusual. Together, they unraveled the sinister tapestry woven by the neighbors, revealing a secret cult that had infiltrated the community for generations. The cult, known as the Shadows, believed in channeling dark forces for power and longevity. The private investigator shared their findings with local authorities, leading to a covert operation to dismantle the cult and put an end to its malevolent practices. The raid, however, exposed the true extent of the cult's influence. High-ranking officials, respected figures within the community, and even law enforcement officers were among its members.